On today's episode of the podcast...
It sounds like you're reading off script, mate. On today's episode of the podcast.
Mate, it's my first time. You know, we're going to keep rolling. We're going to be serious smart ass. We're going to include this in the final edit, aren't we? All right, so this part, all I'm trying to do in this first episode is not say or and. Can we achieve that, Grace?
No.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
Carry on.
So the Astute podcast, what are we here to talk about? I guess it's everything behind the scenes at the agency, what we do in regards to photography, videography, talent management, content creation, planning, strategy. It's a whole bunch of boring stuff, but we'll get some fun stuff as well. And we did have lots of guests planned, but...
And we still do. We still
do. But unfortunately, we got put into lockdown. But, you know, in true agency form, we thought we would still get our podcast live. Not much star power. I mean, I've only got a couple of thousand followers. You've got 3/5 of nothing. So
I've got 350 very engaged followers.
How many people watch your story?
350. No, I'm kidding. I've got like 800.
Right. Let's get into it. Let's talk about COVID 2.0, this lockdown in Sydney.
Is that what people are calling it, 2.0?
I'm calling it that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
First of all, can I just crack this?
It's
Aubergine?
ASMR. Very good. So how did it all transpire? I can't remember the date, but, you know, 2 Saturday. This is week 3 of the lockdown. Mm-hmm. When we first found out we're going into lockdown 3 Saturdays ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, it was the Friday.
What happened? Talk me through it, Grace.
Oh, look, I was pretty pumped, honestly. It doesn't really bother me because I knew that we could still operate as normal. Like, the way we're set up now to work remotely, I knew we could do it.
What's so different from now?
Yeah, exactly. I just knew that we'd still be able to function well, you know. We've got all our creatives, our internal team, everyone's happy to work at home. But we just needed to definitely crack the whip a little bit in terms of making sure everyone was set up for success and not just going home and being like, what the heck am I doing right now?
And how is that different to last when we didn't know if the world was going to end or not?
Yeah.
The first lockdown? Well,
that one was interesting because we're in such a different position. It was just you and me at our co-working space. We didn't even have...
Oh, that little shit box.
Yeah. I think at that point when lockdown really popped off between February, March...
Yeah.
You weren't even...
Towards the end of February, I thought I was Mr. Hotshot.
Oh, you know what? It was March. I think I was still coming to the office space because no one even knew what was going on.
Lockdown, I remember from the gym, was 23rd of March was hard lockdown.
You just stopped coming into the office. I don't remember why. I don't remember.
I don't remember. The last 18 months have been a bit of a blur.
But it was very much just me keeping myself accountable.
Correct.
And just us hanging out.
How have you been keeping the team? How have you been keeping the team and managing them?
Well, it's been definitely an interesting pivot going from me being the sole kind of co-founder, your sole responsibility to Astute, to us having a full team that we have to manage. Mm-hmm. So I guess learning how to be a manager.
Finally using all those subscriptions, Slack,
yeah,
Zoom,
Slack, the Zoom. What else
Teams.
Have we got? Getting Monday.com.
I don't think...
Too much of a plug?
Monday.com?
Yeah.
Monday.com.
Yeah.
Monday.com. Maybe they should sponsor us.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like we don't have a workflow manager yet.
No, we really don't. I am the workflow manager.
Right.
So just making sure that everyone has task lists, everyone knows what they're doing, making sure everyone touches base with me at the start and the end of every day. We have a team meeting at the start of the day, which I call the fire drill. Why do I call it fire drill? I don't really know. I just think it's like a corporate term that people use. Right. And Chris asked me what it meant, and I think... You know, what happens when you're in a fire drill? You could just go and stand on the grass and everyone's got to talk and know what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just got to make sure everyone's accounted for.
Because I saw that invite come into my inbox and I was like, what
fire drill? Yeah.
And how, what's happening with projects, with things that were already pipelined? What's the update there?
Good question. We're just kind of deciding what needs to go ahead, what's priority and what's not priority. My muscle chef, they're always super keen to shoot and get content out because they are an essential service. You know, they're delivering food straight to your doorstep and to retail as well. So they always need content that is fresh and relevant. They have new product launches all the time. So we're doing a shoot with them, a production next week for 2 new product launches. That's exciting. So that's going ahead. So that takes up a lot of pre-production planning time for me and the team. And then the clinic as well. So the clinic, they are in Bondi Junction. The clinic is closed, but they do have a e-commerce store where they sell their products. So
lots of new launches there on their website.
Yeah, new website looking
just
good.
Went live during lockdown. Good timing in that regard, but obviously not great in regards to creating content. So we have to manage that.
Yeah.
Tell the people we do have a COVID safe plan.
We do have a COVID safe plan, courtesy of Gladys. It's looking good. Needs an update as of June 2020. The last version was, so that's getting updated today. Just making sure everyone has hand sanitizer on set, wearing masks.
We should be wearing masks. You have COVID? I don't have COVID.
No, I don't.
No, we're not allowed to joke about that because it's very serious. I could go on a rant now. Maybe I should take this opportunity to go on a rant. 112 cases today.
Well, your Instagram, if it's anything to go off, you're definitely in the mood for a rant. What did you post yesterday? Tell me about it.
Oh, the scare campaign. The federal government and what they've released as their I'm calling it propaganda. I know putting this out there puts my face to the content, makes it a lot more real and personal, but that's okay. I stand by my opinion and my thoughts, and they are my own. They're not representative of anything I'm associated with. They are my opinions, but everything that I do talk about and post about is very much fact-based and genuinely fact-based, as in sourced from government resources, not from kooks and all the QAnons out there.
Not YouTube videos?
No, not YouTube videos. Everything is very much a government resource. Or a health service, whether it's Australian or I've been reading a lot of things about the Delta variant out of Europe and the early indications of kind of how the movement and how that's going to trend over the next, 4 weeks for us is what I'm predicting for lockdown in Sydney anyway. I think Gladys, if you were listening, you and your mate Brad, Kerry's good. Kerry's just doing her job. It's Brad I've got a bone to pick with, but we'll leave that for another episode maybe. I think the tiered support packages that they've proposed for small business.
What is it?
It's a laugh.
Actually, I don't know.
$10,000, $7,000, and $3,000, or it might be 10, 5, and 3, whatever it is.
And you need to be in lockdown and not in business?
No, it's based on revenue, and your decline in revenue. I think it's 70% decline, 50%, and 30% decline. Makes eligibility. Point of the story is, a lot of small businesses, Astute being one of them, but also Ion Training. Being my other main business, it's very real on the street. I'm not saying I have the answer for COVID-19 and the current Delta strain, but I do know that as a small business, leadership-wise from a state and federal level, I don't feel, my opinion, I don't feel it is adequate. And there was a really good piece put out yesterday by Mark Burris talking about, and I don't want to cry poor. It's not about crying poor, but I think a lot of small businesses they're not heard because the problem is a big problem. I'm not a Neanderthal. I'm not someone that is unreasonable. I understand it is a significant problem that is a big strain financially on the government as well. JobKeeper last year obviously has put us in a hole for probably longer than I'm going to live, to be honest. But I think the way that it's been handled from especially this scare campaign, which is what your question was they're showing the most severe symptoms of COVID, which we know that the Delta variant based on
Can you run us through the video, what it was?
Oh, it was just someone who's...
It was basically...
Oh, because people might not have seen it.
No,
right?
exactly. I hadn't seen it other than on your
Sorry,
Instagram.
First podcast, my bad. So the podcast, it was a highly produced video. Being in marketing ourselves, we can appreciate the elements of, the creative aspect and the planning and the set and the design. It was a female that was on a ventilator, struggling to breathe.
In a hospital bed.
In a hospital bed. And, she was having a very bad time, right? Now, I'm not saying, once again, I understand. I have friends that work for New South Wales Health, people at a relatively high level. I understand it, and it is a very real thing. If you end up on a ventilator, it's not going to be a fun time.
What was the tagline? It can happen to anyone.
No, yeah, basically, but the end,
it could be you,
which is the point. It was like stay home, stay safe,
get vaccinated.
Stay home, book your vaccination, and something else. And my bone to pick is that's cool. You can spend as much above the line budget you want on advertising that, and they've said specifically that they're targeting that towards Sydney because obviously there's a very big issue in Sydney at the moment. And
young people, they keep saying.
They keep saying it. They're pushing that narrative, and it is propaganda. By definition, it is propaganda because you see that video, you watch it, and some people will be distressed by seeing that, so they will go onto the relevant website in their jurisdiction, and they'll try to book in for a vaccine, and they will be met with the notification which I was met with,
there's such a disconnect.
Correct.
They're like, go and get vaccinated.
Correct.
Oh, you're under 40, you can't get a vaccine.
Correct. You're not eligible to get vaccinated. And there's a one-liner, which is the AstraZeneca I can't remember the website. It's so confusing. But that's a whole different issue. I'm not going to rant about that. But it says if you do want to consider the AstraZeneca vaccine, speak to your GP about it. That in itself is worded poorly because you're already placing an element of doubt in the person reading. It's like, why do I need to speak to my GP?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Well, because of the whole blood clotting thing, right?
Of course.
Now, I'm not saying the blood clotting thing is or isn't an issue. Like they're saying it's a 1 in 100,000 chance, right? So they're saying 1 in a NRL grand final, one person will die. That's the essential statistics basically behind that. The point being is this lockdown is bad for business in summary, so we don't carry on about this topic. It's incredibly bad for business, and I don't know if this is the best way to handle it. And I definitely have an opinion on how the marketing, because that's what it is. It is ultimately marketing.
Yeah,
what we're
absolutely.
here to talk about. It is the marketing of the scare campaign, which other countries, and last night in my post I spoke about, other countries have handled, once again, in my opinion, a much better way.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a scare campaign. Right?
And I think it doesn't need to be like laughed about. It doesn't need to be a joke or like
it doesn't
we
take
don't
away
need
the
Elton
seriousness
John.
at no point, right?
Yeah.
It
doesn't need to be a
But it's also
charade.
not bad to have Elton John, which the NHS had.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not bad to have Hollywood movies, which the CDC had in America.
Yeah.
But I think they've missed the mark, and a lot of people agree with me.
Do you think that they've gone for that angle because this is what I think, that maybe they're like Australians are very stubborn and need like a real shock. They're like, oh, they really
100%.
need to see a shock, to
And
really.
that's fine.
Is that
I
what
agree
it
with
is?
That.
Is that why they did it?
I had a friend from New South Wales Health message me this morning about it, which was, these campaigns are normally reserved for populations which have been given the niceties, the
Already,
nice and
yeah.
softlies, and there's been a poor adoption rate. Then you roll out the heavy artillery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we already know that's a fact because this campaign, which a lot of people don't know because I've done some research into it, was actually shot in early December last year.
Oh.
It wasn't. Everyone thinks it's been shot recently.
Where'd you find that out?
I think it was on ABC. I think it was ABC
Right.
was the source, but I can find that. If anyone wants to ever call me out on statistics, more than happy to reference my sources. And it won't be from imacook.org.us either.
US.
So I lost my train of thought. They didn't roll this out in December last year.
Yep.
There was a choice. It was a conscious choice to not roll that out.
But I feel like there's already been such a lack of education around the vaccine
there's been
and
nothing.
anything.
I've literally seen nothing.
I don't watch a lot of TV, to be honest.
But we're going to start. We're going to start sounding like kooks now.
Yeah, I know.
Like anti-vaxxers and all that kind of stuff. And I have plenty of
No,
friends.
I'm very much pro-vaccination.
Right.
Put it out there.
So that's
now.
yours on the record. Grace is
It
pro-vaccination.
took me a while. Like there was definitely hesitancy just around the vaccine in general.
You're 26 now.
Yeah, about to be 26 in August.
What was the hesitancy behind that?
Definitely, it was that. It was definitely that first wave of information around like, it causes infertility. It's not safe for pregnancy. It's not safe if you want to have children in the next few years. So everyone, including family members, were like, "Oh, don't do that. That's whack." So I was like, "Okay, there's no point."
That feeds into your point you just made about the Australian mentality of being stubborn.
Yes.
I think if you go one layer deeper, actually one layer more to the surface is Australia, and this is why we absolutely live in one of the best countries in the world, bar none. We very much have a she'll be right attitude. She'll
Yes,
be right.
yeah.
Everything she'll be right. Well, this is one of those things where she won't be right.
Yeah.
And, yes, we've only had 900 and I think today 11 cases. Last was 910 cases, 820 of those being in Victoria last year because that was fucked.
Yeah. And at that time, it was like we also didn't have cases when the vaccine was starting to get rolled out.
But it's very real. We
New
didn't
South
see.
Wales,
We also
anyway.
in Australia, which is part of the reluctancy, is that a word?
Reluctancy.
Reluctancy.
Sure.
The reluctancy of people to get vaccinated or take lockdown seriously.
Yeah.
Is we didn't see the catastrophic images, and we didn't
No,
experience
exactly.
the things that are
Wasn't like India.
in New York.
Yeah.
Like people use India, like your first one was India, it's like 1 million cases and this and that. So ultimately, if we're comparing apples with apples, India is a third world country, right? And their healthcare system is absolutely not comparable to America, Australia, most European nations.
Yeah.
But if people have forgotten the very real stuff that came out of New York City.
Yeah.
The big apple, right? They were burying people in unmarked graves
Yeah.
Off Staten Island, and that was a very real thing. We didn't see that, so we're not as scared. But ironically, 14 months down the track, we have friends in New York that I get sent things and I see things on Instagram and Facebook and friends that are abroad, and New York is absolutely back to normal.
Yeah,
Look at
recovering.
yesterday, Las Vegas.
It's recovering.
The
yeah.
Conor McGregor Poirier fight. it was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
'cause
mask to
people
be
are
seen.
vaccinated.
Everything, and I don't even know. See, I don't even, you know that, if that's fact what you're talking about.
no.
I don't know if they're vaccinated. Maybe they've just adopted the whole, oh, well, if you die concept, right?
Yeah.
But it's sad to see where we're at now, and there's no real, people ask me, I get DMs saying, oh, so what's the answer? If you think you have, I don't know how the fucking answer.
People say that. What's the
100%.
answer?
They ask, well, what's your opinion? I go, I don't have the answer.
It's like I have an opinion. I don't have an answer.
My opinion, right? But also I understand that my opinions are formed out as a small business owner. That I don't want to pat on the back, but I have to pay people. I have very real costs. It's part of being a leader is that you have very real responsibilities and accountability.
Mine was definitely a lot more selfish because in the end I was like, okay, I've changed my mind about getting vaccinated. I want the Pfizer one. Because eventually I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to leave the country.
I don't want to be banked up. I don't want to be waiting. When everyone, when all of, I'm not going to say that. No, I'm going to say it. When all of Sydney wants to go back to Bali, there's going to be a lineup. And if the infrastructure doesn't support that. Oh, for the record, I'm from Western Sydney, so that was a jip on myself, so we know. Was that if the infrastructure is not going to support people all of a sudden wanting to book in, I might not travel for a long time. Or it's not even travel. Overseas is a real far dream. I actually think there's going to be other ramifications for not being vaccinated. Now, so for the record, Grace is pro-vaccination. I will be getting vaccinated. I will be. You know why? Because I put a lot of really, really bad shit in my body anyway in my lifetime. Not recently. Which whatever this vaccine is, it's going to pale in comparison, my friends.
Yeah, I agree. And I was like, you know what? I've had every single vaccine to date.
Correct.
All the ones I got through primary school, traveling ones, all of them. I've had every vaccine.
Correct.
I'm like, why should I be so hesitant
Well,
about this one?
I'm 35 years old and I've been vaccinated from my cognitive memory once, which is when I went to Thailand in 2007. So I haven't had a needle.
You didn't get any in public school, primary school?
Not that I can remember.
Oh, wow.
Right? Maybe not. I asked my mum that, but 2007, and I think it was for typhoid or the mosquito one, I think.
You can't access your health records though, can you, Vincent?
I don't know, can I?
MyGov.
Oh, really?
You've got some dramas with MyGov, don't you?
Oh, yeah, because my Chinese name, that's right. I can't even identify myself. That's the other problem. I haven't even been able to use my Dine and Discover vouchers.
Why though?
I can't change my name either because then I can't authenticate myself.
What's your real name, Vincent?
Can't tell you, mate. You have to pay to find out, brother. Is that enough about COVID?
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's enough.
That's
but
what I mean.
sorry, I didn't say this. I did say this in my little blurb in my Instagram post last night, which was, I don't care if you are a pro-vaccine, not vaccine, think COVID's real, think COVID's made up. I think that, and I'll save that for rant for another occasion when maybe it's just me and I'll just chat and anyone that wants to listen can listen. Is it's not being helpless or letting the system win. I'm not making a mockery. If those are your opinions, they're yours, you're entitled to them. But what I do think is you should be very aware and alert when I feel like we live in a society now where I have to preface everything. I know. Have to give everything.
You don't want to sound like a kook.
I don't sound like a kook, but it's like when the deputy police, whatever his title is, commissioner, I don't know what it is. Whatever his title is out there on public record saying things like, if you buy a pair of shoes, we're going to question that if you need to. It's like, dude, it's none of your fucking business. We live in Australia. We're not in communist China. Sorry, CCP, if you're watching. I know you can fucking kill me and shit, right? But we're not in Russia, Putin. I like your watch. I actually found out what brand watch you wear, Vladimir Putin, if you're watching. Different conversation another day. On the weekend, I was bored.
eBay available.
So I just think that people need to start questioning.
You can't say that. I agree, because it's like we don't need to question.
But these civil liberties, it's like police enforcing things which are subjective.
I think when you're talking specifically about that, about the police, when you feel like you can't go for a walk with someone and they're going to ask you if you're exercising.
There was the incident last year. Anyone that has been following me long enough knows what happened at the gym. I own Ion Training. I'm the co-founder at Ion Training and founder. Co-owner? Founder? What did I just say? Whatever.
Co-founder.
Right? And, the police came and tried to shut us down last year for breaching a public health order. Long story short, TLDR, they were wrong. They had to back down on that because we were ultimately there filming and trying to earn a living. This was before any stimulus package was announced, any JobKeeper, any moratorium. And the point of that example is that if you don't know the law and you don't question how it's being implemented in society, then people just start getting carried away.
Oh
right?
My gosh.
Like, for example, you can ask questions. There are a lot of things. Once again, this will bleed into a much longer than we anticipated. But another issue is, the inconsistencies on what's that?
The Eden is the staffy that's under the table right now. Is pushing. She's pushing my legs around, and it's really annoying me.
The podcast?
Anyway, I do. Oh my!
Come on, bro. We can't edit this out.
I'm like, is this good timing?
Sorry,
Bad timing?
Just a quick intermission. There's a fire drill going on. I wonder if the microphones will pick this up.
Hey Zeus, pull away from the mic. Dance break. She's like pushing my legs around under the table. Is she doing it to you?
You want to do me a favour? You want to go to bed?
Can I tell her to go to bed?
Go to bed? Yeah, I want to go to bed. All right, go to bed. Stay. This is just our first podcast, guys. Thank you for listening.
Where's the test
And
tones?
tuning in. I know, I'm sure they're coming. So let's just wrap on COVID. I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. We got to do what we need to do, and we will continue.
Oh my.
Can't control that in a podcast, can you?
Wow.
That's it? All right, I think we're good to go.
You're nice.
What's the next thing you want to talk about? How do you think we're going to play out in the next 6 months? There's a big question.
Ooh.
Fucking curveball.
Ooh, New South Wales, Australia, Astute.
I didn't think that far ahead.
It's a really big question.
COVID. Talk me through COVID and Astute.
Oh, guys, they're two very different
I'm supposed
things.
to light the candle. Sorry, one sec. For the boys.
For the boys.
Hey, this is our favourite candle. So, Mecca Cosmetica, if you're looking to sponsor a podcast.
Diptyque, Feu de Bois, I think it is.
Feu de Bois, but
Always say
I
it
think
for the boys.
it's for the boys. It's definitely for the boys. Yeah, so COVID, next 6 months. Talk me through it from a 26-year-old's perspective. Relatively conservative one that is going to be pro-vaccine.
Relatively conservative. That's a very strict label. Conservative.
I think
Not,
you're
I'll take
relatively
it.
conservative.
Yeah, you call me like a slice of tip-top white bread.
Yeah, you're not Sonoma, not that fancy. Sonoma, if you want to send us some free bread,
light rye.
go for it.
Oh, good question. I actually am not sure, because if you'd asked me this a month and a half ago, I would have been like, it's all good. We're going to get vaccinated. Borders are going to open up. Rock and roll. We might even go to Canada at Christmas time. Now I'm not so sure. It sounds like we're going to be locked down till the end of August. People will start getting jabbed towards the end of the year. I don't think we're going to have international borders open until like anywhere between July and December of 2022. That's probably my biggest concern. My parents live overseas. My sister lives overseas. She's having her first kid. My partner's family all lives overseas. So definitely traveling is important to me. So that's kind of my yardstick for success in the COVID world is, can we get overseas?
What happens at Astute over the next 6 months?
Keep on carrying on. We keep finding those businesses that need content no matter what, because that's what Astute does. We get shit done no matter what.
You're starting to sound like a tacky Lorna Jane t-shirt. Get shit done. My warm-up is harder than your workout.
Go boss. So, yeah, just keep finding awesome clients to work with that need content or can work as agile as us.
Do you think that as a business, here's a big, deep, curly question for you. Do you think
really?
that as a business, our clients and not our clients, do you think that they should be spending more on marketing during a global pandemic or less, or keep to the plan that they had?
Oh, really depends on the business, I guess, doesn't it? Because if someone doesn't have the fucking budget, then no, you can probably stop spending on stop spending on marketing and just try and pay your people. But depends on the
slippery
business.
slope though,
it's
right?
a slippery
Keep
old
paying
slope.
your people and you stop talking to the world.
Yep. Yeah.
Where do you
Talking
draw
to the
that
world,
line,
exactly.
Right? So I think that, without bias, and obviously we have clients that pay us, but also we do a lot of consulting and we pitch to businesses that we may or may not get to work with. I think it is very important to continue your marketing on whatever your points. You should be using it as an opportunity.
Without being tacky, without being corny and too COVID leaning. There was that whole burst of marketing and
don't push on
TVC is very
Correct.
much like, we're in this together.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
think
that's done.
My guiding light, the thing that stood out the most to me was the Uber campaign last year.
What was that again?
Stay at home. No, sorry. Because their tagline is "Thank you for riding with Uber," and it was "Thank you for not riding." Thanks for not riding with Uber.
Yeah, that was so good.
So I think
Who else did it well?
Apple, obviously, usual suspects from a global level. I think at a local, one of our clients, my muscle chef pivoted very well last year. which was they had the move with MyMC.
Move with
so there was
MyMC.
kind of providing that value content to their customers, and also the always on content. So their business as usual content, very much. We still produced the content. It was just more centric towards being at home and working from home, as opposed to taking a meal to the office. It was more about having it at home and still having that convenience, and creating that time for you to get out of the house during lockdown. Because obviously last year's lockdown was pretty significant compared to this lockdown. Although probably going to get worse from here anyway, from Sydney. But yeah, I think businesses should continue marketing. I think a lot of businesses, especially if they're predominantly online, are unaffected by COVID.
Yeah, definitely.
Affected in the sense that people's discretionary spend will be less.
Yes, I think so.
Who knows, right? You might lose your job, and those are the repercussions of lockdowns.
Depends on the size of the business.
Correct.
Absolutely.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on marketing during COVID. Is that it for our first episode?
That's all I got.
Definitely digressed. I think we're rolling into 30 minutes. Definitely spoke too much.
Definitely got a bit kooky.
A little bit. We're not cooks. I think it's one of those things where people that say they're not cooks are the cooks, right? So you know what? If I'm a cook, I'm a cook.
I think it's a very familiar sentiment amongst people right now.
I think
people
so.
are frustrated.
In the general sense, there's the frustration.
Yep.
There's definitely frustration. So I think, and not just from me, but we know that a couple of the team members, it starts getting. It's not playing a small violin. Obviously, we're all in this. We are legitimately all in this together. But it doesn't. I think the key difference, and to wrap up on this, because I'm getting sick of talking about COVID already, is the key difference in this lockdown is that there is no JobKeeper. There is no JobKeeper.
Yes.
There is no moratorium on commercial leases. Landlords for rent for your house, for your unit, they've not said that there's any break. There's no negotiation. So right now you do feel a lot more vulnerable. Yep. Whereas last year, I think Scott Morrison came out and said a lot of things, and Frydenberg said, $750 for, and it was the ongoing joke, which was a lot of people who are better off in lockdown with JobKeeper.
Yeah.
If you're earning $500-600 a week working at a bar, all of a sudden, happy days. Ironically, you're happy to stay home because you're actually literally being paid to stay home then. So it's different this time around. I think it's something to think about. Happy to have Gladys on our podcast. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that'll happen. But who am I? Mark Burris said it very well yesterday, and I shared the story. If you guys head over to his page, on his mentored page, he summarizes it. And a lot of people, I saw some feedback online. People talk about, what would he know about small business?
Someone said that.
Lots of people say because he's got money.
Well,
that's another Australian culture thing, which is tall poppy syndrome, right? So you guys forget that this guy started out of nowhere, grew up in Western Sydney,
it's insane,
to a poor Greek family, right? So I don't think people need to. And also, more importantly, the majority of people that he lends to at a ground level are small business owners. So
I think that guy knows a thing or two about
just
business.
a little bit, right? But anyway, I think that's enough from us.
Guys, it's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Never a chore. And we'll see you, hopefully with our first guest, maybe next week. We'll make sure it's all COVID safe.
For the boys.
Fuck, I'm going in the bag. Bye. No touching me. Fucking touch me, bro.
Soz.
All right, bye.